Marie's heels echoed in the narrow stairwell as she climbed up to the third floor. She sighed deeply, the weight of the day pressing down on her shoulders. She clutched a bag of groceries in one hand and balanced her purse in the other, fumbling for the apartment key as she reached their door. The key turned smoothly, and she pushed open the door, only to feel an unexpected stillness in the air. She listened for Eugene's usual cheerful greeting, but all she heard was soft laughter coming from their bedroom. Marie's eyebrows knitted together. What's going on? She walked cautiously toward the bedroom, her heart picking up speed with each step. Her hand reached for the door handle, pushing it open just enough to see inside. What she saw made her heart sink. Eugene lay sprawled on their bed, joking with Clara, his sister, and her boyfriend Luke. The three looked far too comfortable, as if this were their usual hangout spot. Marie's breath caught in her throat. She pushed the door open wider, her voice firm. Eugene, what the hell is going on? All three heads whipped toward her. Clara's laughter died instantly, and Luke quickly shifted away, scrambling to the edge of the bed. Eugene sat up, his expression a mix of surprise and guilt. Marie. We were just what Marie snapped, her voice rising. Using our bed like it's some cheap motel room. Clara stood quickly, her cheeks flushed. We didn't mean to intrude, Marie. We were just hanging out. Hanging out. In our bed, Marie couldn't believe what she was hearing. She shot Eugene a look of pure disbelief. How could you let this happen? Eugene stood and stepped toward her, his hands up in a placating gesture. Marie, listen. I didn't think it'd be a big deal. Not a big deal. Are you kidding me? Marie's voice quivered with anger. This is our home, Eugene. Our private space. Clara quickly grabbed Luke's hand and tugged him toward the door. We'll just head out, she muttered. Luke awkwardly followed her, mumbling an apology as they made their way past Marie and out of the apartment. Marie crossed her arms, glaring at Eugene. How long has this been going on? Eugene sighed deeply, dropping his gaze to the floor. A while. I didn't mean for it to get out of hand. What's that supposed to mean? Eugene avoided her gaze, guilt written all over his face. I've been renting out the apartment sometimes for extra cash. Marie froze, unable to believe her ears. Renting out our apartment. He nodded, still looking down. Yeah, for short stays. Marie's voice was barely above a whisper. Without even telling me. Eugene finally looked up, his face flushed with embarrassment. I didn't want to worry you. Worry me, she threw her hands up in frustration. You're renting out our home to strangers, and you think I wouldn't worry? Eugene's eyes pleaded with hers. I just wanted to help us save up. I didn't know what else to do. Marie felt her resolve begin to crumble, the anger fading into a deep sense of betrayal. Eugene, how could you lie to me like this? I trusted you. He stepped forward, reaching out to her. Marie, please, let me explain. She backed away, shaking her head. No, I can't do this right now. We'll talk later. Without another word, she turned and retreated to the living room, fighting back tears. The weight of Eugene's betrayal settled heavily on her shoulders, leaving her feeling utterly shattered. Marie sat on the sofa, her arms crossed, staring blankly at the muted television. The laughter and warmth that usually filled their apartment had evaporated, replaced by a stifling tension. She could hear Eugene pacing in the kitchen, occasionally stopping, likely rehearsing what he would say. The wait was excruciating, each second stretching longer than the last. Finally, Eugene appeared in the doorway. He took a deep breath and walked over to sit opposite Marie. His hands were trembling slightly as he leaned forward, trying to catch her gaze. Marie, I owe you a huge apology, he began, his voice thick with regret. What you saw today. It was wrong, and I'm so sorry for not being upfront with you. Marie's eyes remained fixed on a spot on the carpet. That doesn't explain why you had people in our bed, Eugene. He sighed, rubbing his face with his hands. I know it looks bad. It is bad. But there's more to it. I've been renting out our apartment, not just today, but for a few months now. Marie looked up sharply, her eyes narrowing. Renting out our apartment? To who? For what? Eugene swallowed hard, his eyes not leaving hers. To people looking for a place to stay, short term. An hour or two, sometimes overnight. Marie felt her heart rate pick up. You turned our home into what? A hotel? An hourly motel. It was never supposed to be like that, Eugene hurriedly added. I just started with Airbnb, and then things got tight, money was short, and I found there was more demand for shorter stays. Without telling me, Marie's voice was a mix of anger and disbelief. I was scared, Eugene admitted. Scared of how you'd react, and honestly scared of how we were going to make ends meet. I thought if I could just get ahead with the bills, I could stop before it affected us. Marie felt a mix of sadness and anger. Affected us? Eugene, do you realize how much this has already affected us? Eugene nodded miserably. I do now. I'm sorry, Marie. I've been so stupid. Marie sighed, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. Why didn't you just talk to me, Eugene? We're supposed to be a team. I know, I messed up. I wanted to be the provider, the one you could rely on. I didn't want you to think less of me. Marie's expression softened slightly. Eugene, I've never based my respect for you on how much money you bring in. But doing things like this, behind my back, that makes it hard to respect you. Eugene looked down, shame etching his features. I can see that now. And I'm so sorry, Marie. I've stopped all the listings. No more renters. I want to fix this, if you'll let me. Marie took a deep breath, her mind racing with emotions and thoughts. I don't know, Eugene. I need some time to think about all this. Of course, Eugene said quickly. Take all the time you need. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. Marie nodded slowly, feeling a tinge of hope amid the chaos. We're going to have some serious discussions about trust, Eugene, and transparency. I know, and I'm ready for that, Eugene replied, his voice steady for the first time that night. Whatever it takes to earn your trust back, Marie. I'm here. As Eugene stood up to give her some space, Marie watched him retreat back into the kitchen. She felt a complex mix of betrayal and love, the future uncertain, but a sliver of hope that perhaps, with honesty and effort, they could mend what had been broken. After that painful conversation, the silence between Marie and Eugene stretched on for days. They exchanged few words, both giving each other the space to process the situation. Marie spent hours mulling over their relationship, replaying Eugene's apology and contemplating how to rebuild her trust in him. Eugene, for his part, tried to show his sincerity by stepping back from his usual habits and focusing on giving Marie time to heal. One rainy afternoon, Marie sat in the living room, staring out the window. The soft patter of raindrops against the glass was almost soothing, a gentle soundtrack to her thoughts. Eugene finally gathered the courage to approach her. He stood quietly for a moment before speaking up. Marie, can we talk? His voice was hesitant. Marie turned to him and nodded. Yeah, I think it's time. Eugene slowly sat down across from her. He took a deep breath, and the words came tumbling out. I want to be better, Marie. I want to be the person you can rely on and trust. I know I've let you down, and I'm so sorry. Marie studied his face, searching for sincerity. You know, it's not just about the money or the apartment, right? It's about lying to me. Eugene nodded, his eyes earnest. I know. I messed up. I let my own insecurities and fears control my actions. I thought that if I could fix things on my own, you'd see me as more capable. Marie sighed softly, leaning back in her chair. I never needed you to fix things on your own, Eugene. I needed you to talk to me. If we're going to be partners, you've got to let me in. Eugene shifted. Guilt etched across his face. I was scared, Marie. I thought that if you knew how much I was struggling, you'd think less of me. That's not how it works, she said gently. We should be able to lean on each other, no matter what. Hiding your struggles doesn't protect me, it just makes me feel like you don't trust me. Eugene met her gaze, his voice soft but resolute. I know that now, and I promise you, I'll never keep secrets from you again. I'll be open with you about everything. Marie leaned forward, her voice firm but kind. I want to believe that, but it's going to take time for me to trust you fully again. Are you willing to put in that work? Absolutely, Eugene said immediately. I'm ready to prove to you that I'm serious about us. Marie watched him for a long moment before offering a slight smile. Okay, we'll take it one step at a time. Eugene reached out and gently took her hand. I'm grateful you're giving me another chance, Marie. I won't take it for granted. She squeezed his hand, her smile widening. Good. Because this is your last one. Eugene nodded earnestly. I understand. I won't let you down. In the following days, Eugene made a conscious effort to keep Marie in the loop about everything. He showed her their finances and openly discussed their goals for the future. They spent long evenings talking through their fears and dreams, learning to be vulnerable with each other in ways they hadn't before. It wasn't an easy journey. There were moments when Marie's doubts resurfaced and Eugene struggled with his own anxieties, but they always returned to the conversation. They were determined to rebuild the trust that had been fractured. Slowly but surely they began to bridge the rift that had opened between them. And in those moments of shared vulnerability and honesty, they found a renewed strength in their relationship, one that could withstand the challenges ahead. Marie had been carefully considering her options for days, mulling over ways she could help Eugene get back on his feet. She knew he needed a stable source of income to move forward, and she wanted to suggest something that would align with his skills and give him a fresh start. She finally had an idea she believed could work, and she wanted to approach Eugene with it. One evening after dinner, she cleared her throat as they sat together at the kitchen table. Eugene, I've been thinking. He looked up from his mug of tea, giving her his full attention. Yeah? What about? Marie hesitated for a moment before diving in. Well, you know how I've been working closely with my boss at the marketing firm. Eugene nodded slowly. Yeah, you've mentioned her a few times. Why? Marie leaned forward, excitement flickering in her eyes. So there's an opening at the firm. They're looking for someone to handle client accounts. It's not exactly marketing, but it requires strong people skills, managing projects, organizing teams, things you're really good at. Eugene blinked, his face shifting from surprise to curiosity. Wait, are you saying? I'm saying you'd be perfect for the job. Eugene. Marie reached out, resting her hand on his. I've already talked to my boss about it, and she's interested in interviewing you. Eugene was silent for a moment, absorbing what she was saying. You really think I can do it? Marie squeezed his hand reassuringly. I know you can. You've got all the skills they need, and you'll have a steady income. Eugene's expression softened as he leaned back in his chair. Wow, Marie. I don't even know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Marie said gently. I just want to see you happy and working in something you're passionate about. Eugene nodded thoughtfully. This could be just what I need. Thank you for believing in me, Marie. Always, she said, smiling warmly. You've just got to promise me one thing. Anything, Eugene replied quickly. Promise me you'll go into this with an open mind, and that you'll give it your all. Eugene grinned. I promise. And I won't let you down. The next day, Eugene submitted his resume and eagerly prepared for his interview. He spent hours reviewing his experience, researching the company, and practicing his responses. Marie coached him on what to expect, offering tips on how to present himself confidently. When the day of the interview finally arrived, Eugene walked out of the office with a wide smile on his face. He called Marie as soon as he was outside. Guess who just landed a new job? Marie laughed, her excitement bubbling over. No way. They hired you on the spot. Yeah, my first day's next Monday, Eugene said, barely containing his joy. I can't believe it. I knew you'd crush it, Marie replied, beaming. I'm so proud of you. That night, They celebrated with a homemade dinner and a quiet toast to new beginnings. Eugene promised Marie he would dedicate himself fully to this new opportunity and work hard to earn back her trust. The first few weeks of Eugene's new job were a whirlwind, but he took to it like a natural. He learned quickly and proved to be an invaluable asset to the team, handling client accounts with precision and charm. He came home each evening with a renewed sense of purpose and pride, grateful for the fresh start. Marie watched as Eugene found his footing, smiling to herself as she saw him thriving in his new role. They still had work to do on their relationship, but she felt confident that together they could rebuild their lives with honesty, trust, and the knowledge that they were truly a team. Marie and Eugene settled into a new rhythm as he dove headfirst into his job. Every morning they shared a quick breakfast and exchanged a few encouraging words before heading out for the day. In the evenings they cooked together, Eugene chopping vegetables while Marie sautéed them, talking about their respective days. They laughed more and grew comfortable in this new routine. But underlying their daily interactions was a quiet tension that hadn't fully dissolved. One evening, as they finished cleaning up after dinner, Marie decided it was time to address the lingering issue. "Eugene, can we talk?" she asked gently, setting down her dish towel. Eugene turned toward her, sensing her seriousness. "Sure, what's on your mind?" Marie paused, choosing her words carefully. "I feel like we haven't really talked about what happened, about rebuilding trust between us." Eugene's face fell slightly, but he nodded in understanding. "You're right. I've been focused on proving myself at work, but I know there's more to it than that." "It's not that I don't see the effort you're making," Marie assured him. "But sometimes I still feel a little uneasy." "Uneasy?" Eugene asked, leaning closer. "In what way?" Marie sighed, crossing her arms. "I just find myself questioning things sometimes. Like if I can rely on you to be open about important issues." Eugene's face grew serious. "I get that. I broke your trust before, and I need to earn it back." "Exactly," Marie said, a hint of sadness in her voice. "I don't want to doubt you, Eugene, but we've got to find ways to be more transparent." Eugene reached for her hand and held it gently. "I understand, Marie. Maybe we can start by being more open about our finances. I can show you my pay stubs and bank statements regularly, so you can see everything that's going on." Marie nodded thoughtfully. "That could help. And I think we should set aside time each week to talk about our goals and plans, so we're both on the same page." "I like that," Eugene agreed. "And I'll make sure to always tell you about anything that's bothering me, instead of keeping it bottled up." "Good," Marie said with a small smile. "We'll keep talking about the hard stuff, even if it's uncomfortable." "Absolutely," Eugene promised, squeezing her hand. "I don't want us to ever fall back into that old pattern." They began following through on their commitment immediately. Each week, they sat down together and reviewed their finances, talked about their goals, and discussed any challenges or stresses they were facing. At first, the conversations felt awkward, but as they grew used to the routine, it became a source of reassurance and comfort. One night, Eugene came home looking troubled. Marie noticed immediately and set down her book. "Everything okay, Eugene?" He took a deep breath and sat down beside her. "Actually, there's something I want to talk to you about." Marie put her hand on his arm. "What is it?" "There's this big project coming up, and my boss wants me to lead it, but it's going to mean a lot of late nights and probably some stress." Marie listened attentively, nodding. "How do you feel about it?" "I'm nervous, honestly. I'm worried about managing everything and still having time for us." Marie gave his arm a reassuring squeeze. "I appreciate you telling me. We'll get through it together, and I'll support you however I can." Eugene exhaled in relief. "Thanks, Marie. I'm really glad we can talk like this." "Me too," she said with a smile. "We're stronger together." As the weeks went by, Eugene led the project successfully, and though they faced some challenges, they always made sure to check in with each other. Trust slowly began to rebuild between them, with each open conversation weaving together the fragile threads of their bond. It was a gradual process, but they both knew that their renewed transparency would be the foundation for a stronger, healthier relationship. After Eugene's successful completion of the project, he came home one evening with a bouquet of fresh lilies, Marie's favorite flowers. She raised an eyebrow, smiling at the sight. "What's the occasion?" she asked, glancing from the flowers to Eugene. Eugene grinned. "Can't I just surprise my fiancé?" Marie took the bouquet and placed it in a vase, adding water. "Of course, you just usually have something up your sleeve when you bring home flowers." Eugene laughed and pulled out a chair at the kitchen table. Okay, you know me too well. Let's sit." Curious, Marie joined him, noticing how he fiddled with the hem of his shirt. "Eugene, what's going on?" He looked up, his eyes steady, as he reached across the table for her hands. "Marie, I've been doing a lot of thinking. We've both put in so much work to build back our trust and relationship." Marie squeezed his hands, her smile softening. "We have. And I know it hasn't been easy," he continued. "But I want to recommit myself to you, to us. I've learned so much through this process, and I realize how lucky I am to have you." Marie felt a lump forming in her throat. "Eugene." He stood, moving to her side, and took her hands again. "Marie, I know we're engaged, but I want to renew my promise to you. I promise to always be honest, to always listen, and to be your partner in everything." Marie's eyes shimmered as she listened, her heart swelling with affection. "I promise the same, Eugene. I want to be there for you in every way." Eugene smiled, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a small box. "Then let's not wait any longer. Let's expedite our wedding plans." Marie's jaw dropped as she opened the box to reveal a delicate gold band set with a sparkling diamond. "Eugene, this is beautiful." "I want us to start this new chapter together," he said earnestly. "If you're ready, that is." Marie nodded, tears threatening to spill over. "I'm ready. Let's do this." The next few weeks were a whirlwind as they planned their wedding. It was a small, intimate ceremony held at a botanical garden, surrounded by their closest friends and family. Clara was Marie's maid of honor, and Luke served as Eugene's best man, both of them apologizing for their earlier involvement in the incident. As Eugene and Marie stood under the archway of flowers, holding hands and gazing into each other's eyes, they exchanged heartfelt vows. Eugene spoke of his renewed commitment to honesty and transparency, while Marie promised unwavering support and understanding. After they sealed their vows with a kiss, they laughed and danced the night away with their guests, grateful for this fresh start. When the evening wound down, they stood on the garden path, bathed in the glow of twinkling lights. "We did it," Eugene said softly, pulling Marie close. Marie smiled up at him. "Yes, we did. And I can't wait to spend the rest of our lives together." Their renewed promises were etched in the night air, forming the foundation of a marriage that had grown stronger through challenges. With each other by their side, they knew they could overcome anything that life threw their way. The morning of the wedding was abuzz with anticipation. Marie stood in front of the mirror in her simple, elegant dress, her curls pinned up in a loose bun. Clara fussed with the last few strands, making sure everything was perfect. "Are you ready?" Clara asked with a teasing smile. "This is it." Marie took a deep breath and turned to face her. "I'm nervous, but yes, I'm ready." "How do I look?" Clara beamed. "Like a bride who's about to knock her groom's socks off." They shared a laugh as the rest of Marie's bridesmaids gathered around, helping her with the veil and giving her last-minute pep talks. The atmosphere was joyful and full of love, and for a moment, all of Marie's nerves vanished. She looked out the window at the botanical garden below, the archway of flowers framing a small aisle leading to where Eugene would soon be waiting. Meanwhile, Eugene was pacing around the small changing room, adjusting his tie for the 10th time. Luke watched with amusement as he leaned against the doorframe. "Nervous?" Luke asked. Eugene chuckled nervously. "Is it that obvious?" Pretty much, Luke said, walking over and straightening Eugene's tie. But don't worry, it's just Marie out there. You've got this. Eugene nodded, taking a deep breath. Yeah, you're right. Thanks, man. When the music began to play, the guests turned to watch the procession. Clara led the bridesmaids down the aisle, followed by Luke and the groomsmen. Then, as the final notes drifted through the air, the doors opened to reveal Marie standing at the end of the aisle, her smile radiant and her eyes fixed on Eugene. Eugene felt his breath catch in his throat as he saw her, tears pricking the corners of his eyes. She was breathtaking. As she walked toward him, every step felt like a heartbeat, each one bringing them closer together. Finally, she reached the archway, and Eugene took her hands, his voice cracking slightly. You look incredible. Marie smiled softly. You're not so bad yourself. The officiant began with a warm welcome, and as Eugene and Marie faced each other, they exchanged vows that spoke of their journey through hardship and healing. Eugene vowed to always be honest and supportive, while Marie promised to trust and stand by him. Their words rang true in the quiet garden, and when they finally sealed it with a kiss, the crowd erupted in applause. After the ceremony, they joined their guests for an intimate reception. They laughed and danced with their friends, shared sweet moments over cake, and clinked glasses in celebration. Eugene's cheeks hurt from smiling so much, and Marie found herself giddy with happiness. As the evening wound down, Eugene and Marie stood together under the twinkling lights, holding each other close. The warmth of their friends and family surrounded them, but all they could see was each other. This was the perfect day, Marie said softly, leaning into Eugene's embrace. Eugene kissed her forehead. It really was, and it's just the beginning. Marie nodded, her smile widening. Just the beginning. After the wedding, Eugene and Marie returned home to a quiet apartment filled with the scent of leftover flowers and their unopened wedding gifts. They kicked off their shoes, still basking in the glow of the celebration, and sat together on the living room floor, leaning against the couch. Marie rested her head on Eugene's shoulder. I can't believe we're married. Eugene chuckled softly. It feels a little surreal, doesn't it? She nodded. But a good kind of surreal. Like we're finally on the same page, ready for whatever comes next. Eugene turned to look at her, his expression earnest. We are. And I'm so excited for this next chapter with you. They sat there for a while longer, talking about their hopes and dreams for the future. They laughed about how they'd have to write thank you cards to all their guests and wondered where they'd travel for their honeymoon. In the following weeks, they settled comfortably into married life. They reorganized their apartment, blending their styles and making the space feel more like a home. They tackled small projects together and found joy in mundane tasks like grocery shopping and meal prepping. One Saturday, Eugene surprised Marie by suggesting they take a stroll through the neighborhood park. They walked hand in hand, enjoying the crisp autumn air. As they rounded a corner, Eugene paused and pulled Marie close. You know, we've got a lot to figure out, he began. Where to travel, how to save for a house, all that. Marie nodded, leaning into him. Yeah, but we'll figure it out together. Eugene smiled down at her. I couldn't agree more. But I want to know what matters most to you, Marie. What's your dream for our future? Marie looked up at him, considering his question. I want a future where we're always supporting each other, where we're chasing our dreams and facing challenges together, no matter what. Eugene nodded thoughtfully. Me too, and I promise that's what I'll always strive for. Marie smiled warmly. We've learned a lot about each other in the past few months. I think we've got a strong foundation. Eugene took her hands and squeezed them. That we do, and whatever challenges come our way, we'll face them as a team. The weeks turned into months, and as they navigated their shared future, they found their rhythm as a married couple. They celebrated each other's successes at work, comforted one another during setbacks, and leaned on their renewed promise to always communicate openly. Eugene became known for his reliability at work, while Marie continued to shine in her role, both finding fulfillment in their careers. They found joy in simple pleasures: Sunday morning brunches, late-night movies, and spontaneous road trips. Together, they built a marriage that reflected their resilience and commitment. Though challenges inevitably arose, they never lost sight of the promises they'd made under that flowered archway. Their story wasn't about perfection, but rather about navigating life's imperfections with love, honesty, and an unwavering belief in each other. As they walked through the seasons of their marriage, Eugene and Marie knew they had found their home in each other, a place where they could always be their true selves, flaws and all. And for them, that was the most beautiful future they could imagine. Years had passed since Marie and Eugene stood beneath that arch of flowers, making promises that they'd worked every day to keep. They were sitting on their porch one cool evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood. Marie leaned back in her rocking chair, a soft blanket over her legs. "Remember when we thought planning a wedding was the hardest thing we'd ever do?" Eugene chuckled, sipping from his mug of tea. "I was more nervous about keeping plants alive back then. Now look at our garden." Marie's gaze wandered to the lush greenery that bordered their porch, a testament to years of care and patience. "We've grown a lot, haven't we?" "More than I ever imagined we could," Eugene replied, reaching over to squeeze her hand. "We've had our share of ups and downs, but I wouldn't change a thing." Marie smiled, her eyes reflecting the sunset. "Every challenge, every mistake, it's all been part of our journey." Eugene nodded. "I think about how scared I was to tell you the truth back when we first found out about the apartment. I was afraid of losing you." Marie turned to look at him, her expression tender. "But you didn't lose me. We learned how to really talk to each other, how to really listen. It's funny how those scary moments can bring you closer." "Yeah," Eugene agreed, a reflective tone in his voice. "It taught us resilience. It taught us about forgiveness and the strength of our commitment." Marie squeezed his hand back. "And about trust. I think that's been the biggest lesson for me. Learning to trust you again and learning to trust us." Eugene smiled softly. "It's been quite the ride, hasn't it?" "It really has," Marie said, pausing as a gentle breeze rustled the leaves around them. "You know, I think about all the advice we got on our wedding day. Everyone seemed to have an idea of what makes a marriage work." "And what do you think makes it work?" Eugene asked, curious. Marie thought for a moment before answering. "I think it's about choosing each other, again and again. It's about not giving up when things get tough." Eugene nodded thoughtfully. "And keeping those promises we made, not just on our wedding day, but every day after." Exactly. Marie looked around their cozy porch, their home filled with memories and laughter, each corner a reflection of their life together. "We've built something wonderful, haven't we?" "We have," Eugene agreed. "And we'll keep building, as long as we're together." They sat in silence for a while, just enjoying the peace of the evening and each other's company. It was these moments of quiet togetherness that they cherished the most, a simple yet profound joy. As the last light of the day faded, they rose to head inside, their hands clasped tightly. Inside their home, they'd continue to weave their story together, a tapestry of love, resilience, and unwavering commitment, a story that they both knew would stand the test of time. Let us know in the comments how this story has inspired you, or share your own experiences of overcoming adversity. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-touching stories like this one. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest uploads. Your journey through the complexities of the human heart starts now. Remember, your story isn't over yet. It's just a new chapter beginning. Stay strong, stay inspired.